Jim. Thank you so much. And listen, we've got just such great organizations represented. Just before Thanksgiving, the state and FBI began receiving reports of unidentified drone activity across many of the counties in New Jersey, including in my district. Reports of drone activity have only surged since then, literally coming in by the scores every day. Some reports have suggested that these drones are the size of small cars. According to our military officials, since November 13th, Picatinny Arsenal, which is a defense base in New Jersey, the Army facility, which is specifically in Morris County, has had 11 confirmed sightings of unauthorized drones flying over its airspace. Just this morning, Senator Andy Kim reported that he saw several drones himself with his own eyes just last night. I understand why so many in our community and our state are concerned when you hear reports of drones flying above us or see activity yourself, and federal agencies responsible for controlling the airspace don't properly and quickly brief the public, then it leaves a large vacuum of information. As a member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, I have been in regular communication with our federal law enforcement officials, including the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security and the FAA. And we expect additional classified briefings early next week. I want folks to understand, and I want to know for certain, where are these drones coming from? Because right now, there appears to be huge question about where they're coming from of these unauthorized drones. I want you to know that based on the information, the briefings that I've received to date, I'm not concerned about any imminent threats to public safety or our national security regarding these drones. But, and I've made this very clear to the FBI, to Homeland Security and the FAA, the agencies chiefly responsible for monitoring drone activity, they must immediately disclose more information to the public. It's totally and completely unacceptable that you have all this drone activity going on that people are seeing with their own eyes. And even if it's not all drone activity and some of it is manned aircraft, there appears to be plenty of drone activity that people are seeing with their own eyes. The fact that the federal agencies responsible for briefing the public have not come forward in a clear way is unacceptable. There has to be some explanation to the public for all this increased activity, and they must do so now. That's why I've written to the FBI, DHS, and FAA this week and asked them to immediately brief the public, not on a piece of paper, but in person. They also need to work closely with state and local law enforcement, who've done a very good job of bringing in a lot of this information, to give them the equipment they need to monitor drone activity. There's clearly too much of it here in Jersey and other parts of the country. Today, I'm also urging federal law enforcement agencies, which are led by the FBI and DHS, to allow state and local law enforcement to deploy assets that can safely take down drones that shouldn't be in the air right now. The technology exists to be able to do this, and law enforcement, working with federal agency parents, need the tools to react and address any threats from unwelcome and unregistered drones. Again, they have to work closely with their partners. I'm talking about DHS and the FBI, which are the lead agencies, the FBI being the lead agency, right? And make sure that local law enforcement has the tools they need and work closely with their partners in federal law enforcement to make sure that any threats from unwelcome and unregistered drones are dealt with. Together with legislation that I've introduced called the Radar Act to expand federal grants for local law enforcement, to make radar systems more available to state and local police to be able to track these drones. This will ensure that only the drones that should be in the air for registered purposes are in the air. I'm not talking about small recreational drones at the beach or taking pictures at a wedding. I'm talking about drones that fly over military bases, reservoirs, airports, first responder locations, critical infrastructure, and other sensitive sites performing reconnaissance. Drones that are unlicensed, unregistered, and unwelcome should not be flying over our airspace. For instance, drones just a few weeks ago prevented a medical helicopter from landing to help a car crash victim in Somerset County. New Jersey can't become the Wild West of drone activity. No state can become the Wild West of drone activity. And Americans shouldn't have to worry about what's flying unauthorized overhead, especially as technology like AI advances at an unprecedented clip. I assure you, as a member of the Intelligence Committee, I remain laser focused on making sure that random, unidentified drone activity isn't something that our communities will have to deal with going forward. But this is about taking steps to make sure that local law enforcement, state law enforcement, had the tools they need to monitor and deal with unauthorized drone activity, especially over critical infrastructure, over first responder sites, over reservoirs, over places where over our military bases, places where these drones should not be. And right away, and I'll say this again, the FBI should be standing at a podium with the Department of Homeland Security and briefing the public and explaining to them what these drones are. And the Federation, the ADL, and of course, I'm standing here with many esteemed elected. Based on what I've heard, and I've talked to a lot of people as well, that many of these are large, very large, size of half a car. And I believe the state police in a helicopter, is what I heard from a state legislator, told me that the state police was up in a helicopter and saw a very large drone and then backed away from the drone, and then the drone moved away. But again, that's just what I heard, and that I'm sure you've talked to a lot of people, and I've just seen images. And the bottom line is there's clearly stuff out there. What is it? I know based on what the monitoring that we can do that it's not an imminent threat to public safety, but still we should know where they're coming from. Who's putting these drones up, right? And I think everyone has a right to know. It's ridiculous. I think it's totally ridiculous that we don't have more information. It's ridiculous that the FBI and DHS is not briefing the public right now on everything they know about what these drones are and where they're coming from. That's their responsibility. They're the ones who have the technology to do it, and they're responsible for it, and they should do it without delay. It's why I've called on them to do it. And by the way, they should work with their state and local partners who are doing an amazing job dealing with all the incoming on this, to have the technology to monitor and to be able to get these drones that are in the wrong place out of the air. Thanks, guys.